Hey guys, thanks for having me tonight. Tonight I'm going to talk about how the internet is powered by goodness. For a lot of people, the internet is still a really, really scary place, full of Chinese hackers and spam and German porn and stuff that really, really scares you. Like old women who like Twilight. But as really as freaky deaky as that can be, I want to say something different tonight about the web. I want to sing Kumbaya to the internet and how it's not really a scary place, but when you think about it, deep down, it's our little piece of heaven. That's my man JC up there. So my theory about the internet, it's not powered by switchers or modems or Wi-Fi internet. It's really powered by the forces of good. And it's really powered by our ability to help one another. So it's maybe a little Boy Scouty of me, but what started the internet, when you think back about it, it was all about sharing stuff. And even when it first started, the people that shared stuff were the guys who invented the internet. And those guys were pretty cool because they were scientists. And scientists back then, they were sharing nuclear power secrets and formulas and trying to figure out how to, go out and buy a Russian mail-order bride. But if they figured out what we're doing in 2010, they would see how things have changed. Of course, they'd need a time machine in order to do that. But if they came back in their time machine, they'd look around and they'd be pretty disappointed because, their dystopian future hadn't come true. No Blade Runner or Brazil. Instead, what we have now that we're dealing with in 2010 is Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Because Mr. Rogers taught us to keep things really, really simple. And that's what happened to the internet. It's become a really simple place. And you can go at any spot on the web and just see how simple the internet has become. All right, maybe not this page, but what it basically boils down to is the idea that the web has become a place where people can share stuff. Somebody needs to know something, and you can answer that question for them. And in a case of deja vu after the first presentation, let's talk about Wikipedia. So Wikipedia, to me, has become, not just a place where you get the standard information, state capitals, and algebra equations and all that, but it's become a place where people can share their obscure knowledge of trivia. Wikipedia now is mankind's greatest repository of human knowledge and episode guides to Star Trek. But what else is the internet good for? Well, I'm a social media guy. I talk about it all the time. Let's talk about peer recommendations. Peer recommendations are the heart of social networking. They tell you, you ask your friends, what do you give the thumbs up about what to eat, where should I go? Heck, in Oklahoma City, you can even figure out where to go to buy your jewels. Yeah, well, Dan Gordon. Dan Gordon is a force for good in Oklahoma City, and maybe if I keep saying enough good things about him, I'll be rewarded with a giant sack of diamonds somewhere. But Dan, at least the Dan will do is he'll retweet on you. So let's talk about Twitter for a second. Twitter is the perfect place, and we all know this, where we can go and we can ask, where can I get help? We've helped people get jobs, we've helped people get out of jams. Twitter's a nice place for just making friends. It doesn't matter, if we're tweeting it up or if we're crushing it or if we're igniting Oklahoma City. What the main point of this is we're really figuring out what makes each other tick and really what makes our state of Oklahoma tick. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about really the meat of all of this goodness. And when you get down, the meat of it, when you get down to it, let's go back a few weeks and talk about the white Christmas we had. I think my house is in there somewhere. And that's really where all of this really bubbled to the top. On Christmas Eve, we stopped doing nothing, and thanks to my man Sid Burgess out there, who I'm claiming is the new mayor of Twittertown, we created this map, and this map was made out of love. We talked about crowdsourcing before, and this is what we got on Christmas Eve. We're all sitting around our computers trying to figure out what to do. What's better than sharing goodness on Christmas? Well, except for maybe Santa Claus, Batman. But I'm sure people weren't thinking about that, crowdsourced maps and Twitter and all of that stuff way back in the day, back, when the internet was first invented. They weren't thinking about all that. But we want to remember those guys who connected those first cables, and we really want to thank them. Because nowhere on earth really allows us the chance to really practice what I like to call the online golden rule. Tweet others the way you want to be tweeted. love one another, be good to humans. You know, take a minute and text $10 to Haiti, for goodness sakes. You know, this is the sort of thing we're talking about. I love you guys. Thanks for giving me the chance to do this.